Polite
Should
now.
we look at what Dean Cundy did?
I don't want to look up anything involving Dean Cundy at all.
I spilled so much of that on myself then. Don't worry, nothing went anywhere but on me.
Today we're going to be talking about The Girl in the Photographs, which is a quote-unquote horror film produced by Wes Craven and directed by the writer of The Pyramid, which was one of our favourite films from the past few years. Yeah.
And the script was one of the best things about that one.
Oh yeah, it is.
But this isn't his first film. He's done some shorts, but he also did another feature, but I've never heard of it.
Oh, okay. No, not at all. Right.
No.
Well, this film was interesting, to say. I can't care at all about this film. At the beginning of it, I was kind of thinking that it seemed decent for like the first...
You quickly lost it. I was there. You quickly lost interest as soon as the transitions provoked your aggression.
So the basic plot of it is that this girl that works at the local shop starts getting these photographs of her friends being tortured and mutilated.
The police,
And then-
presumably willfully ignorant,
Oh,
decide
yeah.
that it's probably just a hoax and go, "It's fine, don't worry about it." And she's like, "Yeah, well,
No, it's fine."
even if it's faked, someone is trying to frighten me and is harassing me." Yeah.
You're just getting
Yeah.
photos of your dead friends.
Yes.
That's legal. They actually say
They
what's
do
it?
say it's
like
legal, yeah.
it's legal to post photos of dead bodies in public places. Apparently.
Yeah, they do say something like that.
Yeah.
Don't they? Yeah. So it's like I like to imagine that this police force were just like constantly like people coming in all the time, just like,
Yeah.
"Help, my car's been stolen." Right.
But so this girl is slowly, like, her friends are being picked off one by one, sort of slowly, and then
And it all seems to be centered around her.
it always seems to be centered around
Yeah.
her, even though there's no real direction for it to go.
Meanwhile, I assume was he a fashion photographer?
Fashion photographer.
Yeah, like a really pretentious fashion photographer and his like crew. I guess that's the
Posse,
word.
yeah.
His posse are like inspired by the photographs and come to the town to kind of. Is it to do a perfume advert or something?
Yeah, to do a perfume
Yeah,
advert based
and-
on the idea of it, like he's
Yeah.
going to steal the idea. It's,
And
again, it's very vague.
He's like supposed to be a really pretentious photographer who's who's just always saying these really abstract things that you can't properly
Yeah.
understand. And they all those two plot lines kind of eventually intertwine,
Yeah.
whilst this like crappy Silence of the Lambs stuff happens with people being like locked up and tortured by the nutcases.
Serial killer. Yeah.
And then in the last 10 minutes it turns into a slasher film, which it felt like it was supposed to be from the start.
Yeah. And it wasn't even much of a. I mean, I don't want to go into sports actually, but so the photographer was, by and large, the central character of anything. To be honest, like the dickish photographer.
It's really weird because he's basically, once it settles into the slasher film formula, he basically has the exact same role that like the Dick always has in like Friday the 13th or whatever.
Yeah.
But almost like the entire of the first two acts is centered around him, as if he's some way going to be
It's just-
important,
yeah.
and then he's just, he's not at all.
the
He's
whole
just,
film-
he's just one of the cliche characters to be killed.
He gets more character development time than the main character and her love interest combined, probably. And the fact that he was incredibly irritating to watch until the moment you realise that he's basically just Dennis from
Some of the things
Sunny
he
in
says are
Philadelphia.
incredible.
It's just and great lines such as where he slowly starts figuring out that maybe he's the PC, not the Mac in this relationship, or something like that. And he's talking about he's just like the stereotypical artist, narcissist, manipulative.
Yeah,
maybe?
he's manipulative. He
just
keeps-
creepy. It's
Yeah,
just
and
creepy
creepy, but
and
he's-
irritating, like everything in this film. And again, like you said, so it's a kind of. It's hard to describe because it goes through with nothing through a lot of it.
It's very uneventful considering
Yeah.
it is essentially a slasher film. And one of the other it's another one that basically shows that cell phones have ruined horror films.
Because there was the great moment where, so I thought the cell phones, like the mobile phones, were fine through most of the film because they kind of have like the text showing up a bit Sherlock-esque, but And then so she's texting her best friend, and the best friend's already dead, obviously.
It's
and,
like that's not a spoiler. That's like the beginning of the
yeah,
film.
yeah, and it's kind of so the killer has the phone, and he's kind of texting back, saying like trying to pretend to be her, and she asks, "Are you all right?" And it's like the last text she sent. So he just sends a photo of her with her dog, and the girl doesn't question it at all.
Yeah, the other cool thing is the nature of those serial killers as well. Because they like literally are ticking every creepy cliche in the box, and there's a bit where one of them, it's never a surprise who the killer is. It's not like
it's revealed from the start.
Yeah, and they appear at the store where she works, and they come over, and he's just got a tin of cat food, places it there with his head cocked, just like this please. I'm not a serial killer. And that's his behaviour for the whole film. Like they just sort of like walk around with their shirts off, like feeding each other cat food. It's like, why? Because they're crazy. That's why.
And they had to. There was no reason for there to be two killers, but they put in two killers because they wanted to get both stereotypes. So there's the really skinny guy that hasn't had sex and he really likes the main girl, and then there's the large silent type that's basically the brother
Leatherface.
from. Oh, I was going to say, I had a baby brother from
Bad mate.
from Fury Road, yeah. And so it had kind of, I wouldn't say the best of both worlds.
The worst.
The worst of...
It's like,
it
I was saying,
both
it's
worlds.
like how, that is, I won't say that because that's a spoiler for something else. It is exactly every serial killer cliche in the book ticked off. And it is just quite funny
and then
a result.
It had every slasher kind of character ticked off as well, but
developed for such a weird amount of time. Like, they're still as one-dimensional as ever, but you spend so long with them for some reason.
And then, so it all just trundles along really slowly for, what was it, like, hour, 20 minutes? And then the last 10 minutes, everything... I wouldn't say everything goes to shit. It's just, well, for the murderers, everything just goes to plan, really.
Yeah.
It just happens,
really
and then it ends.
These characters that you've spent forever getting to know then die as unceremoniously as possible.
Yeah.
So that you just kind of go, what was the point in any of the tensions or development that's set up? Because they just don't matter and go
I felt
nowhere.
like every single thing that I saw that I went, oh, that's not actually that bad, is then you just kind of piped in with, that's been done before. Because like, you listed the film that's done it before and better.
Yeah.
So every single time every positive that I could have was taken away from me by you.
Thanks.
But yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all I can really say on it. There was the girl in the photographs. It's a
and at the end, it has the audacity to claim that it's in honour of Wes Craven.
Oh yeah, for Wes.
Like,
for Wes. It's like, please don't.
Yeah.
Just don't. Would you say it was better than The Pyramid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you say it's more enjoyable than The Pyramid though?
No.
Okay, great. I think that's all. That's probably the best review it's going to get, to be honest.
Yeah.
Cool. T. We didn't actually say the name of it at all.
I don't think we need to.
Yeah, that's fine.